Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video we're going to be making some candle themed birthday cards. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so I think normally I start off with a background for the card, but I'm actually going to start off with my, focal point for this one. So this is the Concord 9th Make-A-Wish stamp and die set. I've had it for a little while. I've been meaning to do this card for so long. What I thought I'd do was make some pretty candles using this awesome mini creative pad from P13. I got this from Dawn Lewis. I will link it down below. So I'm going to cut, I'm actually going to use all the same piece because I'm going to use the pink and the purple, and I'm going to use the green and the orange on the other side. So the stamp set is absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to point that out first. So you get the candle, and then you get the happy birthday, and you get some decorations for the candle. So if you wanted to just get the stamps, you really could. But what I thought was really cool about this dice, or the die set, was that it came with this one here that cuts out these 5 candles. So I can actually cut all of these out at once and get, like, use a lot of scraps to kind of get something cool. Just needed a bit of washi tape and I couldn't reach any. So I'm just going to cut this out firstly from the green side, and then I'll do the pink side because I'm going to do 2 cards today. I'm going to do 2 cards using one background that I'm going to ink with 2 different colours. Trust me, it'll all make sense. So I'm just going to run this through my die cut machine really quickly. Let's see what we get. So it's going to cut me out. Actually, and just the way they've cut, the orange bit's almost in the right spot. So you've cut out those gorgeous green ones. Oh, I love that. Just give them such differentiation. It's just cool. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So this will give me the pink and the purple. I'm going to, because I want to, because I really like this paper, I'm going to try and get as much out of this as I possibly can. So I'm going really close to that other one, which is fine. And then I'm going to leave the rest for another day, but I can definitely use a bit more of that. But then before I put all this away, I am just going to grab out these 2. So I've jumped into my paper stash, and I don't have a lot of yellow and orange, surprisingly enough, but I don't. So I'm just grabbing some of this little bit of cardstock here. So I'm going to run this through with the big little candle piece, and then I'm going to run this little one through with my orange. So that way we're going to have the little bits of the candle as well. And obviously I'm going to do this twice because I need 10 of them, not 5 of them. So now that I've got these bits done, I am just going to put a little bit of ink on here. I just need to darken them up a little. So I'm just grabbing Fossilised Amber Distress ink, and I'm grabbing my mini blendy brushes. These are from Simon Says Stamp, but any kind of little brush will work. And I'm being rough with this. I don't need it to be perfect. It doesn't. It's a flame. It does not need to be perfect. But I just want to add just a little bit of depth on here. So I'm just going to go through all of them, just use a very small amount of ink. Just give it all a little bit of extra, and then I'm going to go ahead and stick the little insides of the flame down as well. So that is one thing. One little one I would highly suggest tweezers, because that made it so much easier. So then you can kind of see how this is going to all come together. Now what I have realised while I was doing that was I really wanted to try some of these, which are the, what's the word I'm looking for? They're kind of like finishes on top. So what I'm going to do, let's grab my scissors if I can reach them. I'm just going to cut this loose. I'm actually going to try cutting them from the marble paper and just see what that looks like. It may not work. It completely may not work. But I'm just going to see. Because otherwise I think this would look really pretty on like with a gold or a silver or something. And depending on what colour we use is going to determine what we're going to do with the background. So we're getting to that. So I'm just going to run this through quickly and see what we get. I like that. I like that sort of top on top, if that makes sense. So you're going to have a stripe and a spot. I don't like the hearts. I'm not going to do the hearts, but I am going to do the stripe and the spot. So thankfully you get a lot of pages. I just need to find somewhere to put these. You get a lot of pages of that paper. So I'm going to cut the stripes and the spots out from some more of the green paper and then some more of the pink. There are other pinks and purples in here, so I could do either or, but I'm going to stick with what I've got. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to stick all of this together and come back and show you. Alrighty, so that took a little while, but what I have been left with is 10 absolutely stunning little candles. And I love this tone on tone. It's so cute. So cute. Now, to just give a little bit of info, I love that one. I think this one's my favourite, but only just. So just a little bit of info. I tried that 3 different ways to stick those together. The first way was with liquid glue, which works, but is a little bit difficult to get, even with my fine tip adapter, onto those really small points. Fine to use, just probably not the best one. I tried my Xyron sticker maker for a couple of these ones. Just ended up being really sticky, so I just sort of had to rub the stickiness off and it was fine. Last but not least, I tried my glue tape. My glue tape was the one I found was the best. However, if I did this again, I would put these on some, I put the backgrounds at least on some adhesive sheet so that I can just run it through and it's already a sticker. That would probably make life a little bit easier. But just another sort of side note that I love about these. So not only can I use these to cut backgrounds like this and use tone on tone, but you could then inlay this. So just to, I'm not going to do this, but just to give you an example. Like you could get a green's probably the bad, because it's going to be around the wrong way. But you could grab one of these green ones and inlay it in here. So you could do like a rainbow candle. And I actually think I'm going to make another card with rainbow candles because I just think that's amazing. And it's so easy to do. You just, oh, I love this. I don't know why it has taken me so long to use this set. Okay, so there we have our candles. We've got the basis here of our card. And I reckon I can make either 2 or 4 cards out of this. And I'm going to use one background. So I'm grabbing my, where did I put it? Everything on my desk is a little bit messy at the moment because that's the way I craft. I'm grabbing my Misty and I'm going to take out my mat and I'm going to grab in this one. This is my candle stamp, sorry. This is from Hero Arts. It's one of my favourites. But you could do this with streamers. You could do this with, there's just so many different ways you could do this. So I'm just lining this up on my Misty. This is a 6x6 stamp set, 6x6 stamp. And I'm grabbing just a piece of plain white cardstock. Now I'm just going to put that on the bottom here. This is just cut to A5. And I'm just going to move it over so that it's roughly sort of going to sit behind it. Doesn't have to be perfect because nothing I'm going to use here is going to be perfectly 6 inches anyway. Here we go, that's fine. And we're going to do 2 things. First thing is we're going to grab some embossing powder. Actually, first thing is we're going to stick this down. Where's my magnet? Actually, let's use the magnet. Let's do the right thing. We'll use the magnet. So I'm going to grab my embossing tool, my embossing powder tool, sorry. Powder this all up. And we're going to put some clear embossing powder on here. I'm going to use white. I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to use gold or if I want to use silver or if I want to use white or if I want to use clear. I think I'm going to use clear, and I think I'm going to do that because I'm quite happy for this to be white in the background. There is a fair amount of white already on that marbling, so I think it will work. So I've got my clear gloss embossing powder, and then I'm just going to grab my Versamark and just ink this up. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this out. So I'm just using my pressure tool just to help me get as good of impression as I'm going to get. I'm just going to do 2 layers just in case. I'm pretty sure that magnet held strong, so I'm not going to try and wiggle it just in case. Go. Yes. Bring her out. Now the reason I cut this to A5 was because now I have plenty of room to hold this. It's my #1 pet peeve when I don't have room to hold it. So I'm just grabbing a piece of scrap white paper. I'm using white paper for this one rather than my usual little coffee filter because there is so much. And I'm just going to completely and utterly cover this. Now it'll look like I'm using a lot of powder. I'm really not. It's just that I'm going to have to do 2 or 3 little coats of it because I've only got a little jar. But you just put what's left over back in the jar and go again. And you'll be able to see when it's all covered. It's very easy to see once it's like in person. So I just tap it on, not tap it, but what's the word I'm looking for? Sprinkle it on. Just give it a bit of a tap just to get any of the excess off. And then once I'm happy, I'm just having a quick look. I think that's good. I'll put that there again, put all this back in, and I'm going to heat set this with my heat gun. Just having a good look at it, you can usually tell if you've missed a spot like I just did, so that makes it easy. And you'll never notice because this is a bit of a backgroundy bit anyway. You won't notice that little bit that I messed up. Alright, so now we're going to do some ink blending. I did have 2 little colour combos all picked out, but then when I've played with this paper, it's not really going to match. So I'm going to grab some greens. And I'm actually going to do this in halves. So this is going to freak me out and other people out, I'm sure. I'm just getting to 10.5. So this is about, I'm going to cut this about in half. That's sort of what I'm trying to do here. And that scares me, but I've done it now. And we're going to do 2, so one of these in one colour, and that'll be the first colour combo, and then the other in the other colour combo. So the first one I want to be green. So I'm grabbing my Brutus Monroe stick and stamp mat. This is a newbie from Dawn Lewis has grabbed it for me. I think she got it from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm just using this to stick it down on the mat, and then I can blend all over the top. It's going to hold this down so that I don't have to use my station. I'm just giving this a try. I haven't decided yet if I love it or not. And I want to play with some darker greens. So I think I'm going to grab pine needles. Pine needles for that really darky kind of green. Maybe a little bit of bundled sage. And then I'm kind of leaning towards bringing in some evergreen bough. What I will do before I do this is I will give it a quick kind of test run just to make sure that I'm happy with the blend. So you've got, that's the bundled sage. Really need to clean my brushes. Yes, no, I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to go pine, I'm going to do it 1, 2, 3. So pine needles on the left, don't know why I did that, and then bring it in to the other 2 colours. So I'm just trying to get a nice even blend. That's what I'm aiming for here. The problem is I have got all 3 of the colours on here, so I'm getting a bit coming through, but that's okay. Now the stickiness of this mat doesn't hurt the blend. Like, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to get in the way. It's just sort of, you can sort of just feel it grab just a little bit as you grab up, like jump up to the top. But it's so minor, but it just holds everything still. It's fantastic. I don't actually think you can tell the difference, which is kind of annoying. You'll tell the difference here. You can tell. It's subtle. Getting a little bit more green on the end there. And then maybe just a little bit more intensified of the evergreen in the middle. And I'm happy with that. Okay. So then we pull it up. So easy. This is where you grab one of your microfiber cloths and you give it a rub. And what that does is it takes all of that ink that was sitting on top of that embossing powder and it rubs it off. So now that's got that gorgeous white coming up through the background. I love it. I'll decide in a minute if I'm going to add in some water spray. I haven't decided. Then for the purple, all for the purple. I kind of want to do a bit of pink and a little bit of purple. So let's grab, because I can and I haven't used it very much yet, saltwater taffy, no. I think it needs to be picked raspberry. A tinsy little bit of villainous potion. No, too dark. Way too dark. Bit of shaded lilac. And then I think I'm going to do Dusty Concord. And we'll do the same thing. We'll do a little test just to see what that looks like. See, my purple brush is not as dirty as my green brush. But my purple inks are also a little bit wetter than my green inks. Oh yeah. I'm just looking at it though. I think that pink's actually too much. So I'm going to pull the pink back. And I think I will go with saltwater taffy. Yeah. Okay. So we'll start. I'm going to bring that mat back in. Now, like I said, it does have stick to it. So this is going to pick up a little bit of the stick. So I'm just going to put just a tinsy bit of water. And that'll clean most of that off. But it doesn't take away the stick. Love it. There is a cleaner you can get for this as well, which I will get. I just haven't got it yet. So we're going to do the exact same thing as we just did, but with these pinks and purples. Then from here, we're going to do 4 cards. They're all going to be very similar, and they're all going to be the same size. So I'm grabbing just an A5 piece of cardstock, or sorry, an A4 piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut this to A5 size, and then in half. So that's to 10.5-ish, because that'll give me my Aussie sized card front panels. If it's not exactly perfect, that's fine. It won't hurt it. Then we can put these onto card bases afterwards. So they are roughly all the same size, and we can just work on one at a time. So I'm going to cut this into halves again. So I'm going to cut the top off here. Oops, missed. I'm going to tidy up that bottom bit, because when I cut that, I kind of got a bit of a rough edge. And I'm going to cut it in half again. So I'm just going to sort of roughly work out how big this is. So it's about 7 centimetres. So I'm going to cut this to sort of 3.5-ish. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. There's my 2 little strips. They're definitely one's wider than the other. And if you're that way inclined, like I am, you can fix that so that they are the same size. So I'm grabbing the small one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, I've taken the protector off my paper trimmer here, and I'm just going to put that down. It's right butted up against my edge there, and then I'm going to put this bit of tape just on there. It's probably still not going to be perfect, but it's going to be pretty close, and I think I'm quite happy with that. So that's when then I can bring the protector back in. Always bring the protector back in. 2 reasons. Number 1, it saves your fingers. But number 2, it just helps you hold things down. So I'm going to come in here, push this in, butt it up against that tape, and I can cut that bit off. And now I know that's now straighter. It's probably still not perfect, but it's a lot better. And I can do the same thing here now. So I'm just going to trim off that fuzzy bit, because we did have the fuzzy bit on this bit as well. And then I can spin that round, push it up against the tape, and then cut my 2 little bits. So I probably have a tinsy little bit left over of the green, but I think that's okay. Oh, I love those candles. Alright. Very simple. I'm going to have that sit across there. You can either have it at the top or the bottom. This is where you can have some fun with the design a little bit. And then we're going to put the candles. One of them's going to have 2. One of them's going to have 3. Sort of along here. And then depending on... I'm just trying to decide which stamp I want to use. So I've got this Happy Happy Birthday. I'm just trying to decide, maybe the Happy Happy Birthday gets the two candles, because they sort of sit there really nicely. And then the Happy Birthday one, or Biggest Birthday Wishes, goes on the other. So I'm going to put this into my Misty again. Just try to leave that where it is as much as I possibly can. Pull this one out. We've got to put that mat back in. Love that that's staying exactly where I put it. So I'm just lining it up. Again, just making sure that, yes, that's where I want the candles. Obviously, I'll move this over in a second. I'm just putting this all together, seeing if that's how I like it. I'm going to come down just a little bit. I do. I like that there. Cool. that's all blocked in. Picked up everything with my Misty. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some Versamark ink, which is my favourite black, Versafine ink. If I'm not using any kind of Copics or anything like that, this is the best ink. It gives you the best dark kind of sentiment there. So I'm just going to stick that down on there. Gentle rub there. That's right. Double stamp it. This is the first time I've used it, so it doesn't surprise me that it's not quite perfect. And then while we're here, I'm going to stamp the other one as well, because I know I want that to be in the exact same spot. So it saves me having to line everything back up again. See, that one I don't even need to double stamp. It's perfect just the way it is. But while we've got the Misty out, we'll put this one away. And the cool thing is here, if we wanted to go horizontally, so let's just have a look at horizontal. Just trying really hard not to touch too much of the white in case I do have any kind of ink on my fingers. And remember, this one's going to have 3. So we've got the 1, the 2. I'm just using them for placement at the moment. It doesn't matter if they're not quite the right ones or if they've got stuff stuck to them, which this one does. There you go. So I'm going to stick it right there. And then when I pick this up, I can use the markings on there to just make sure that that's straight, and it definitely is, so we're good. So I'm going to do the exact same thing as we did with the other one. Stamp this down on both pieces of cardstock. So then we can start assembling. Let's start assembling these cards. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that my Versamark is covered. Versafine, I don't know why I always call it Versamark. Make sure it's all covered up because it does have a habit of getting everywhere if you don't shut the lid. Make sure it's gone away. Alright, so we're going to have a purple and a green on this one. I'm really scared now that that's not straight. It is fine. I'm just being paranoid, I think. Yeah, it's fine. I'm just going to stick this down using my glue tape. I just find it's the easiest thing to use, but if you prefer to use liquid glue or double-sided tape or whatever you like, obviously you definitely can. And I'm just lining this up. This is exactly the same width as my card base. So I'm just lining it right up on the edge, making sure it's straight. And then we'll just give it a quick little push. Perfect. And there we've got our little background. I'm going to do the same thing with the green. I'll come back to the other one, so I'll do this one on its own first, because I'm going to do the exact same thing, but obviously this one's just going to be portrait instead of landscape. If you do have trouble lining it up, because this one's a little bit more difficult, can always use the grids on your glass mat or your mat or whatever you've got in on your desk. If you have any issues with it, grab yourself a bit of that washi tape. I'm just lining this up as close as I can. There we go. And then I'm just trying to find a line to follow. There we go, that one. There we go. And then you can just stick it straight down. Easy as. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other two, and I'll be right back. So now we have our little backgrounds done. By the way, these would be perfect just the way they are. You really don't need to do any more than this. They're just gorgeous. But I just feel like these candles are just going to add something really fun. So 2 of them, like I said, these ones are going to have 2. I'm just trying to decide if I want to put them up on foam tape or not. I think I do. But you know me, I change my mind a lot. So we'll see. I was hoping to get sort of 2 big strips there, but oh well. So I've just grabbed my regular foam tape, just cut it in half. If I had some thicker strips, the strips that I've got are all a bit thin for this, so I'm quite happy just to cut some of mine up. I wish they didn't have my hair stuck to them though. Is anyone else like me? And if you don't have your hair stuck to it, you've got dog hair stuck to it. And if you don't have dog hair stuck to it, you've got cat hair stuck to it. I'm pretty sure I've told you guys this story, but I'm going to tell you again because it's funny. So Charlotte was in the NICU when she was born. And I remember one day coming in there, well, it must have been like the second or third day she was in there. And so she hasn't been out of this thing. She's been living in this little NICU thing. And she had dog hair on her. And the nurse was like, where the heck has that come from? She hasn't left anything. And I'm like, yeah, we've got a dog. And everything we bring anywhere is going to have dog hair on it. And she just sort of laughed at me. And I thought that I was in trouble. But she actually thought it was really cool. Nice nurse. She's like, the baby's going to end up with dog hair all over her anyway. So she might as well get used to it. Which was my thought exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these ones down. Like I said, these 2 are going to be exactly the same. I am going to do them both at the same time so that I can kind of make sure that I've got them right. And I do deliberately want them to hang lower, and I don't necessarily want them to be straight. If they are straight, that's fine. But I'm quite happy for them to be a little off kilter. Oh, I love that so very much. So I'll do the other one and then we'll come back and do the other side together. Alright, so there you've got your 4 cards. What I love is that it's kind of a bulk make, so I'm not quite sure how long this has taken me. But it hasn't taken me more than half a football, because the footy's been playing in the background. That's what I love. And these are so effective. I love, love, love that I have sort of green ones, so if I do have some, and I'm not trying to colour differentiate, but if I've got some people that like green or that need slightly more masculine cards, these ones are very masculine, these ones are very feminine, but you can obviously mix and match. I do need to work out a better way to get those together, as in, because I can still see little bits of glue, but I can rub them out and I can get there. I'm just trying to, the only thing I'm still left wondering is if I should put a little bit of glossy accents on the candles, just for, you know, a little bit. What I might do is put them on the, now obviously when you guys see this it's not going to be dry, so you just have to trust me because I'll show you the finished product. But I'll put these on just the 2 big ones, like the 2 portrait style ones, and obviously I'll do zooms when they're all dry. But it's not hard to do, and it is a very effective kind of finishing touch, and it doesn't tend to wobble. So obviously, like, these are on foam and up on big things, so it could sort of just roll off. It doesn't tend to do that. Glossy Accents is a pretty solid kind of gelatinous material, so it does work really well. But I really love these candles. I am one that needs more birthday cards in their collection than they humanly can make, So it's great to have some. These ones are not made for anyone. They're just to go into my stash. I will need to use them at some point or another, and I am very happy to grab these out and use them. I think they're going to look absolutely beautiful. And I'm very excited now to try some inlay rainbow ones. That'll be the next one I make. I won't do them on my channel, but I will put them on my Instagram. So if you ever want to see the cards that I make, either for myself or for people specifically, but I wait till after their birthdays, or that I just make because I'm having fun, if you want to see those cards, you have to be following me on my Instagram, because those ones are, I do when I'm like got the footy on or got Charlotte sitting on the floor and making lots of noise. So they don't always get to be on my channel. But I do still make them and I do still love them. So make sure you follow me on Insta so you see those ones. If you did enjoy these ones, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys have an absolutely awesome rest of your day. And I'll catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!